out these TV shows, I want it to be like the MCU. And now I'm not a huge, like I said earlier, I'm not a huge fan of the MCU. I do like them. I do appreciate what they've done. I think some of the movies are amazing and they're cinema spectacles. But I want them to be planned. I want, like I said earlier, the Kenobi series, when it comes out, if it connected to Mandalorian in some way, that'd be amazing. Maybe Obi-Wan runs into someone with the Darksaber, and that's you have Rebels, which is my favorite animated Star Wars TV show. A lot of people like Clone Wars better. I actually prefer Rebels. You have Ahsoka Tano and maybe Kanan Jarrus and some of those people from Rebels running into Obi-Wan on Tatooine. Connect those universes. And then when you do the Old Republic stuff, connect them. So if it's 600 years back from episode 1, then that means Yoda's around through. You have to have Yoda in that series, whether he's a bigwig Jedi or not. You have to have Yoda in there, in some capacity. I don't want them to rewrite Yoda's kind of tapestry, his story, but it seems inevitable. I'd rather have Yoda in it with a rewritten story about him. So yeah, that's kind of the route I want them to take. Also, just it made Star Wars great in the mid 2000s was that they were they had great, this is not something I'd be doing anymore, but they had great toys. They now, from what I've seen and what I've heard, there's like no Star Wars toys. Nobody wants to play with a Rey. What do you mean?
Well, toys are one of the biggest selling. Like, that's where they make so much money, is in toys. When you make a Star Wars movie, when you make a Marvel movie, you make a lot of money in toys.
Obviously, that's where you make the most money. But I haven't seen those. The toys were so much better back then. I just want them to think better, make partnership.
Yeah.
Star Wars Lucasfilms partnered with so many different people instead of like saying, okay, EA, you make all the Star Wars video games. They were like, okay, Traveler's Tales, you're going to make this game. BioWare, you're going to make an RPG. Pandemic, you're going to make a third-person action shooter. Then the in-house, they make Republic Commando and Force Unleashed. And then you're just going to give it to EA and say, hey, do whatever you want. That doesn't make sense. I know Disney likes to do everything in-house, so of course they're going to make most of the toys.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about toys. I'm not into collecting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, I don't know many people whose kids have these toys. When I was growing up, even if you didn't love Star Wars, you owned Star Wars toys because you had to fit in. And you had like different games. So I think they just need to think things through better. Like I said, Disney is treating this like it's another one of its intellectual properties. Like it's not Marvel and it's not those things. Marvel's great and has a big global impact. But when I was in Kenya, no one knew anything about Marvel. Everybody knew Star Wars. It was bizarre. I was talking to people about like, what movies do you know? They didn't really know Marvel movies, but they all knew about Star Wars. So Star Wars, I would argue, has a bigger global reach, but that's probably just because it's been a bigger deal for longer. Marvel's been a big deal for about 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer. Of course, they had the comic books, but outside of the Western world, nobody really knew, So like my big word here is that they need to have a plan. They need to make sure that everything's focused. I'd say the first step, if you put me in charge of Lucasfilm today, and I was in charge, I don't care how much it cost. I am canceling, or when it comes out, I'm not renewing with EA. And I'm saying, we are going to sell this off to whoever can give us the best pitches. If you have a good pitch that says, I'm going to make a Star Wars video game about Order 66, a post-Order 66 Jedi, and it happens to be developed by Respawn, and EA is going to publish it. Great. They made Jedi Fallen Order. Great thing. But, they had no real plan there, so a lot of the games haven't been great. Like Battlefront 1, the new one wasn't great. I played it a lot, but it wasn't very well thought out. There was, same thing with Battlefront 2. It's one of my favorite games this generation, multiplayer-wise, but it took about a year and a half to get to where it was a good game.
Yeah.
So just have you need to have that impact, because if you can have it to where kids grow up playing with Star Wars toys, they go home from playing with Star Wars toys to going to school to reading a Star Wars book, then going home from school to going and playing their Star Wars video games at home. You literally have every aspect of their life in that sphere. So people are excited about the movies. People want to go see the movies, and then when they're older, they watch Mandalorian. They watch the as what was the one guy said? He said Dark. He said I'd love to see a Leia Jabba scene. You can even watch that Leia Jabba scene when you get older. So I don't know. There's a lot of things you can Star Wars. I'm afraid. I remember the first time I went to Disney World in 2014, right after the Disney acquisition, and I almost threw up in my mouth seeing a Stormtrooper helmet with Disney ears on it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is."
No, I get that.
That's rough.
Also, by the way, Lego Star Wars kind of has some dope stuff. What do I think they should do? What I want them to do and what I think they should do are totally different. Here's the thing. I mean, making a sequel trilogy made sense. It didn't make sense.
I don't dispute that.
If you had asked me if this is a good idea, I'd be like, financially, it's a great idea, but in terms of the actual like story, no, I don't think from a writing perspective, like, do I want to see this movie? I would rather see something that's new. I mean, the whole point of Star Wars is such an expansive universe that George Lucas created, and it's like, why are we not exploring more of that? Why are we not seeing more of what there is to offer? And I like the idea. I like The Mandalorian. I wasn't expecting what I got, but I was excited for it. I kind of thought there was going to be a little more, the storyline was going to be a little more connected. I kind of didn't process it was going to be kind of an episode by episode Western for a lot of it, which threw me off, but I really enjoyed it. I think that like what they need to do is I think they have the opportunity to try multiple things, but I do agree that connecting their universe is important, but they need to start a connected universe that's aside from the Skywalker saga. They need to step away entirely from the Skywalkers. Sure. They should step away from that time period. It's too saturated. And also, I remember this is a point that John Campea made, and he's one of my favorite YouTubers. If you haven't checked him out, you should check him out. But one of the things he said that he was really disappointed about, and he was excited.
I'll be right back. I'm going to listen, though.
Yeah, this is a breath of fresh air that Mandalorian had, was for the first time, except for, he got really upset with the Tatooine episode. And the reason he got really so upset is because this show was the first time that we saw a property that just like on the big screen or on television that was like a live action that didn't touch the rest of the Skywalker saga, all the known universe stuff. It's supposed to be this big galaxy, and the whole point of Tatooine was supposed to be like this fringe, like planet that barely anyone went to, and like that was a significant point of that. And so the fact that like also, hey, our other character went there, like that wasn't supposed to be like the odds of that were supposed to be very slim. So I think an issue that I have is like, why do all these characters run into each other? If this is supposed to be this big galaxy, why is it that everyone runs into each other in the same tavern? Like this is supposed to be like a big galaxy. Why is this like, why are we not exploring more of that galaxy and making it look bigger? We're just making it look smaller. And I don't enjoy
the short
that.
answer to that is the force is what connects them and brings them together. That's the short answer. But okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I see what you're saying.
So like, yeah, I mean, for me, like what I want to see is I want to see a person I've never heard of. I don't want to like, even like Legends. Like I think there's a lot of cool stories in Legends probably, but like, not that I don't know a lot of them. But like, I don't really want to see anything that we've seen before. So that's why a lot of the rumors that are coming out right now are talking about are talking about the High Republic, which is what supposedly the next movie is going to take place in, which is like 600 years ago, I think. Right?
It's 600 years before episode 1.
Yeah. So like I think that's good because there's not really any material covering that area. There's references, but I don't think it's like really explored, right? Am I correct in that assumption? I think that's exciting that we might be getting some stuff that's like new. If I were to do my own story, this is a personal opinion of this, but I think it'd be really cool to explore like some sort of, if they're going in that area, and again, I'm not huge, super knowledgeable on the like history of Star Wars or like a lot of that. I don't know what's going on in that time period, but I would think it'd be cool to do some sort of like political intrigue, maybe explore some characters that aren't Jedi and Sith, but also like kind of have that involved. So maybe maybe have like follow one Jedi, or like maybe you follow like the politics that goes between the Jedi and like the Republic. You know, I think something like that could be pretty interesting. But again, I'm not like super informed, so. But I just think it'd be interesting to follow new characters, new stories. I want to see something and be like, wow, I'm experiencing this with everyone else for the first time. I'm not walking into a property and everyone else is like, oh, I know what's going on. Now that is really hypocritical for me to say, because when we see Marvel movies, I'm excited to be that person that's like, I know what's going on and you guys don't. But I think it might be kind of cool to get something new. But then again, I also acknowledge that there's a lot of people that are like, wow, it'd be really cool to see these characters that I followed in like animated mediums finally get recognized in live action. So like Ahsoka or something like that, right? I know a lot of people like her. So I don't know. Like I think they could go either way, but it's really important to give them some wiggle room so they can get the approval of all the fan bases. Like if they go somewhere where no one's touched it, they're not going to have, because the reason that most people have a problem with any of the Star Wars stuff is that, hey, you broke canon, or hey, you did this thing that no one else, like, you kind of ruined something that someone else did. But if you go to an area where no one's touched it, it just gives you so much more room. You just don't have to worry about that, and you can focus on writing a good story that's new and original. So that's kind of my long spiel.
I agree. I think that even if you did that, took the sequel trilogy and made it its own thing. None of the characters are connected at all. I would still say those are 3 of the worst Star Wars movies.
No, that's fair.
Plot-wise. But I agree with you. I think the High Republic is something to be excited about and something that's new and original. I would like to see Yoda in that.
I agree with that. It'd be dumb for them not to put him in it. Financially.
I would let them talk about characters from expanded universe Legends. I'd love for them to at least mention Darth Revan if it's going to be High Republic era, which Darth Revan is 4,000 years before Episode 1, so it'd be a little bit further. But it'd be interesting to mention him as like someone who established the Sith Order. And I think the coolest thing that they could do, honestly, and people say, oh, they did this before with the original trilogy, is I don't want to see a movie where the good guys are in charge. I never want to see that in Star Wars. Well, yes, you know, I want to come into the movie with the Sith being the ones that are there and the Jedi are low in power, because you say, oh, well, that's what the original trilogy is. Yes, but hear me out. Those are 2 Sith, and it's basically the Nazis, space Nazis, and 2 Sith, one who actually uses the Force and one who doesn't, because Palpatine wasn't using the Force throughout the Old Republic, or throughout the Empire days, very much, at least to our knowledge. So I think it'd be cool if you had crazy, powerful Sith Lords ruling the galaxy, and 2 or 3 Jedi are going to try and win, try and take them down with the help of some kind of rebel forces. That would be my favorite thing to see. But then again, like I said, I'm not really a fan. I think you may have been gone when I said this. I don't really want or need any sort of trilogy again, 10, 20 years. I'd be fine with 20 years, because it was 10 years in between episode 5 and episode 7, and it was 16 years in between episode 6 and episode 1. So if they wait somewhere between 10 and 20 years, I'm fine. What I do want is I want some good TV shows on a year. So year 2020 will be Mandalorian. See season 1 of a Boba Fett series, or heck, even you could do a live action of Rebels or something like that. Maybe even set up the first resemblance of High Republic. That's where I want Star Wars, is in Disney Plus, so that they can make mistakes. If a series is bad, you're not like, basically, that's what I kind of feel like sequel trilogy.
Yeah. And I would bet, and I think, I think Snaps made a good point that political turmoil
different
is a really
sources.
cool
So not just EA.
Sorry,
you have multiple. What did you say?
I lost you for a minute there, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I agree with you that
turmoil,
stepping away from the trilogies scenarios is good. I think just going into like something interconnected. I think what we're gonna see, and I agree with Snaps, is political turmoil is people love that. People love political turmoil. There's so many shows in so many different genres, and that's something that people like. That's one of the big things people liked about Game of Thrones.
Was and Kevin Spacey into the Star Wars universe. That's what I want. I want him playing a character in the Star Wars universe.
I have a feeling that will not happen. Something tells me that they don't want Kevin Spacey on
any Disney property
where children watch. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That
was a bad joke. That was a dark joke. It was really dark.
That was a dark one. We got another dark. We like to end every topic with a dark joke. So, something to really kill the
At least when I'm here.
That way you're
At least
ready.
when I'm here.
Yeah, well, that way you're ready to end that topic. You're like, all right, we can move on now. That's enough. And then we get right into the next one. No, actually, I think that we're going to see their plans after The Mandalorian and the Obi-Wan series. The next series we're going to see come out is going to be related to the High Republic. I think they're going to, once one movie succeeds in the High Republic, they're going to try to create I think you're right about they want to create their own MCU. I think that's going to happen in the High Republic. I think that's going to be because that's their sandbox.
The one thing that the MCU has never